We be live.
Oh, we're live.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello. What's up?
Hey, sup? Okay. Hey.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is hi. Sup, bro.
Welcome to our channel,
Hello,
AP.
Welcome back.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for having me back. How are you doing?
We're good.
Good. We're just gonna pretend like we weren't talking for the last 20
Yeah, we've
minutes.
been talking
Oh
for
yeah.
20 minutes.
Hi guys. What's how? Yeah.
Wait, let me actually fix something. LinkedIn is being sensitive about the top. Wait, the title is just has your name on it. Why does LinkedIn think that this is not okay?
Because
No,
it's
we're
my
live
name.
on LinkedIn now.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Okay,
Because
cool.
it's me. Because it's me. What? You're live on LinkedIn? What?
Yeah, they do that now.
We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and LinkedIn at the same time.
Gee, I only do YouTube. I'm totally disconnected with reality nowadays.
Well, you're doing something right.
Yeah.
Wait, you had something you were showing us. I want to show mine.
Oh yeah. I was
Yeah.
just. We were competing with our things.
Yeah, I
so-
lost. Yours
Yeah.
is bigger.
Yeah, mine is bigger, and Armin feels intimidated because of that.
I do.
Yeah, just look at that. Make the comparison.
We were talking about. Wait. Yours is a Buddhist one, right?
Yeah, mine is a Buddha mala bead, and
Mine is Jewish. Got it
Yeah.
from Jerusalem because I'm a Zionist, obviously.
Oh, yours is wrong. Mine is right. Whatever that means. But
Do you also have a Sunni Islamic one? Why are yours so much bigger? I mean, like, is it because? Why are you so much bigger up, AP? I don't like it.
Oh yeah, I also have a Muslim thing which I use sometimes and go Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Yeah,
Well,
see, like you're such a Sunni. You say
Yeah.
Allahu Akbar
Yeah,
because
But I do it
you don't
when I'm bored.
understand that Islam is not about Allah. Islam is about Ali, Hassan, Hussein. And
Yeah,
this
yeah.
kind of
Tell us what you Shia heretics do.
the mushrik. We are very well versed in the art of shirking. So that's why when we use our beads or tasbih, we do the imams, we do the Shia imams. We mentioned that we don't bother with Allah and who the hell is Allah and Muhammad? What the hell is that? Islam? It has nothing to do with Allah Muhammad. We just say Ali, Hassan, Hussein. We go through the imams, Fatima, the Ahlul Bayt, like those. Yeah, and Ali is as I mentioned to you many times, Ali is the essence of Allah.
That sounds so disgusting to me.
Yeah.
That sounds like
you
so
offended?
That sounds so horrible to me. It makes me it makes me feel disgust. It makes me want to vomit out everything. It's just a complete sign, a representation of corruption, of blasphemy, of
deviance, innovation,
deviance, filth, dirt, shirk, and whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
This proves that you still have some Muslim in you. The Hindutva were right about both of us. Once Hindutva were right. Once a Muslim, always a Muslim.
Yeah.
You can't change that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's how it goes. That's how it is. Yeah.
You were also mentioning that how some of your experience with Shias seem to be like milder compared to the Sunnis.
Oh yeah, I was telling you.
Can't do that.
I was telling you before we started that like when I look through the online communities of different Muslim circles, and when I look through the circles of Salafi numbnuts, for example,
Right.
and they are often very, problematic, mildly put,
extreme, a little, and very in your face about it.
Yeah, and in comparison, the Shia circles, the Shia forums are like very friendly and very nice. Like in comparison, I'm saying, of course, relatively speaking.
Right. But then we discussed that maybe that's because the Shia circles that you're exposed to are Shias outside of Shia majority places. which
maybe.
When you're a minority, you become a PR, like you a lot of people feel like they're representing an entire group of people, and they become like, as an individual, they go into marketing. Like, it's not in a malicious way, like just subconsciously you think you're representing an entire group of people, and as a minority you become nicer and stuff like that. But like maybe Shias in Iran, like ex-Shias in Iran, they have a very different experience, like this milder experience that a lot of people have with Shias outside of like Shia majority places. The people like ex-Muslims in Shia majority, they're like, what are you talking about? Like I lived under like a Shia tyrannical like theocracy of a Shia regime. Like I haven't experienced anything mild. Actually, I wanted to show you a video, maybe to see what you think. Right?
What is that?
This is actually.
Masih Linajad was tweeting this today.
Oh, you already seen this? Like, how is it that you've already seen all of this? Like,
because I'm a Shia.
Yes, Sus is like a secret Shia. I don't know if you knew that. Like, she's like a hidden Shia. But AP, watch this, okay? So this is like in the 1980s, shortly after the revolution in Iran, okay? And this is a mother who has spied on her own son for the sake of Islam and given her up to the authorities. And this is her telling him that you are going to be executed. And
گفتگوست. گفتگوی متفاوت با تمامی گفتگوهای مادرانه جهان. او فرزند خود را از آن ساکنایی به زجه ها
وقتی که محارب خدا و رسول باشی نمیخوام بدون من چند وقت انتظار داشتم از شماره تلفن سپاه گرفته بودم که یه اومدی خودم آخه برگشت کجا برگشت؟ تو برگشتی بالاخره حالش هم میونه خود و خدا برای اینکه تکلیف گناهانت بشه.
She's like, it's a little bit unclear, but she's saying like, he's like, I would have come back, and she's like, you should. I think she's talking about like, when would you have come back? And she's telling her that this is the right thing. Yeah.
Wait, she spied on him for what? What is that?
I don't know exactly. Like, he was like against, like, he's one of the people who didn't agree with the Islamic Republic and stuff. So like
is this counter-revolutionary thing, and she is giving him up to the authorities.
So she gave her own son up to the Islamic Republic of Iran, and she's explaining to him here, like, she hasn't got to the, like, you're going to get executed for this, right? And he's crying because it's his own mom that is making, like, it's basically killing him, right? But like, it gets worse. Like, you're going to get executed. I'm just like trying to show you, like, if another face of like Shia Islam, like, is turning a mother against her own son. I can't tell what he's saying here.
Oh,
he's saying something about Khomeini. He's trying to justify his views, but I can't tell exactly what he's saying.
Why are they in front of a camera and a microphone?
Because the Islamic Republic of Iran published this on TV as a bragging
propaganda.
Like, this is like, look, this is Channel 3 TV. I remember this as a kid, and they recently republished this. Like, this is not just back then. They just recently republished this as like, look how much loyalty we have. Like, this is not a source of embarrassment for them. This is a source of this is the open. Like, this is not a leaked thing that they were trying to hide. This is something that they're like, look at the honor, look at how much people are loyal to the Islamic Republic, that they do this. Not only this, they published it about this in the newspaper, right? So, and you can see in the right side, it's Khomeini saying, this is Khomeini saying that this mother is a true Muslim mother, like she's a symbol of motherhood in Islam.
Oh my God.
And they gave her Khomeini himself gave her an award for as a perfect mother. And you can see on the left side in the 1980s, you can see Khamenei, which is now the supreme leader. At that time, he was the imam of the Friday prayers, and he's saying that this video should make our enemies realize that they can't defeat us.
I see this. I am familiar with the sentiment, kind of. I mean, I see where this comes from. And this woman is basically depicted as an honorable woman of the Republic, an honorable woman who makes the nation proud, who makes the Muslims proud, right? That is so they basically use this indoctrination of a woman who is ready to give her child up to death as a symbol of pride, and this is what a mother is supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And
Gossam is saying that she was named Mother of the Year that year.
Fucking hell.
For killing her own son.
That's amazing.
It's so sick and twisted.
That is amazing.
And it's really hard to do this in any other way other than like some twisted dogma like this, right? Like, this is a mother, giving up her own son. Yeah. And she thinks that she's doing something. Like, the weird part about it is that, I mean, everything about it is weird, but another weird thing about it is that she thinks that she's being a good person right now. Like, it takes an extreme level of brainwashing to be able to convince somebody that you're on the good side by doing this. Like, she genuinely felt like she's a good person by doing this.
I think about that so often nowadays. So I thought about that just earlier today. I was thinking about, there are so many people who hate me nowadays. There are so many people who hate you. There are people who want to genuinely harm us, who wish harm upon us. And the thing is, it is easy for us to be quick and to haste in calling them evil and depicting them as those evil monsters, the evil doers who just want to commit evil and who just want to harm us because they are so evil. But that's not really what it is, right? I mean, they just have their mind is just programmed, twisted, washed in such a way that they fully believe that what they are doing is the right and good thing to do, because they think that you are the monster. This mother thinks that whatever the son is following is the bad and evil and corrupt thing, and she thinks it is the completely right and good and charitable, graceful thing to do, to give up her son for her son's own good and for Islam and for the nation. I mean, that's the thing. It's not a thing. It's not a divide between good and evil. It is that these people justify this thing to themselves because they believe just as much as you and I that they are in the right when they do these things that disturb us and disgust us so much.
Well, they're victims themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel, sir, if you consider them, like if you can consider them as victims, are you able to feel any sort of sympathy for people like this, even though they probably like wish upon you a lot of pain and misery? Are you still capable of feeling sympathy for them, given that they're?
I do all the time. I do. I see people sending me death threats and people sending me terrible things, people saying horrible stuff about me. Prominent people that I have discussed with before who openly said that I deserve to be killed and all that stuff. I don't feel hate for those people. I think about why they say these things that they say. I will say very openly, Al-Dawa, for example, is somebody who said that I should be executed, people like me should be executed, and he will be proudly watching. My initial reaction is anger in the face of that, because I'm a regular human. My survival instincts immediately flare up, and I become angry and anxious about that. But thinking about it further, I begin to see him merely as a figure within this greater game that he is merely a part of, very mindlessly. To be very honest, he's a very dumb guy. In other terms, on the other hand, for example, I don't know, that there are many others, who convey such messages, and they genuinely believe that they do the right thing, because what they care about is not my life or the lives of these, enemies of Islam or apostates. What they care about is the eternal life of the Muslim community and their own eternal life, and Allah, who is the greatest good. So they just take these sentiments, these good sentiments that we have, and to distribute them in a completely different way, and give them to other values which we do not share. And so on their side, from their perspective, they are not evil. And I think about that. I don't think of them as evil. I just think that they are deluded, for example.
It's actually because I have sympathy for them that some people, I actually think it might be better for them, because I don't like suffering. There's some people where I feel like it might be better for them if they never reconsidered their beliefs. Think about that woman, or I think about the parents who are Jehovah's Witnesses that medically neglect their children because they refuse to let them get a blood transfusion, or brainwash their children so much that their children voluntarily refuse blood transfusion because that's against their beliefs. If they ever woke up, so to speak, and realize what they did to their child, I can't imagine what that suffering would be like. To have murdered your own child.
Yeah.
It's a horrible reality.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it might not actually be about I think for a lot of people it might be, again, I can't read people's minds, right? The dab up guys or anybody else who come after us or get angry over things that we might be saying. And I don't think for a lot of them on the back of the mind is oh, I what is Allah thinking of me? Is this going to save the ummah? Or is this going to get me to heaven? I think for a lot of them, this is just a tribal thing. As in, I think what's actually happening is am I signaling to my community that I'm a valuable member? Do you think it's a lot of that?
I think there is that, because I know from experience very well that many of these people who openly in public are very, very aggressive, very hostile, and very vile to us can be very nice in the background. And they are basically being hypocrites. They are being two-faced. In the back, in private conversations, they approach me in a very nice way and talk to me in a very friendly way and even make jokes. And then in public, they suddenly start roaring and talking about how I'm the enemy and this and that. And it just seems like, they're trying to signal to their own tribe that they are being, righteous and strong and humiliating the enemies of Islam and this and that. The issue is there is more to it, I think. There's also, of course, the motivation of a certain egoism and a longing for power on their part, not in terms of not that they want to be literally powerful, but that they want to gain something by having some opposition toward us, some hostility toward us. Like all of us, I mean, in all of our actions, there is kind of this implicit, this hidden motive of, being on the right side, getting something in return, being rewarded with sympathy or with pleasure or with rewards from Allah in the afterlife, or from blessings and praise and all that from the audience that listens to you. And on that pursuit, they just say things which they deem necessary to say, which within their own ideology.
How do you? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Again, we can't be sure. Just we're just hypothesizing, but it would make a lot of sense. My guess is that the vast majority of Muslims don't go through their day making calculations based on what is Islamic and what's not Islamic. I think most of the actions, and this is not just about Muslims, it's about everybody. The things that you just accept and know are socially acceptable and not acceptable speaks to something, biologically within us that wants to be accepted as a normal part of society, and you're just going with the trend or else you're going to be seen as an outsider and an outcast and demonized, and you just want to be accepted. And I think that would make a lot more sense rather than a constant calculation of a religious person trying to figure out is this, does Allah accept this or not? I don't think that's how it works, but I might be wrong. I don't know. Yeah,
I don't want to I'm really resisting. I don't want to start philosophizing and acting like I'm this big philosophy geek. But I just want to refer quickly to this thing which Nietzsche talks about very much, which is the whole will to power, which motivates humans in their actions. And he has this big thing where he actually says something that may initially sound very which might make you angry when you first hear it, where he says that showing pity and empathy and showing kindness toward people as a virtue within society is very much is often hypocrisy, is very much essentially hypocrisy, because when people are showing pity outwardly, showing pity for other people who suffer, what they're trying to do is not what they're doing. The origin of that expression and of that feeling is not this genuine concern for the other individual, for the other person. What they're doing is using the suffering of the other person in order to make themselves feel better. And then also using the virtue of feeling empathy for somebody else in order to make themselves, in order to acknowledge that they are doing the morally right thing by showing empathy for the other person. And then they also want to outwardly say, oh, I feel so bad for this and that guy, because they know, because they are aware of the reactions which they will get from others when they show outwardly empathy to other people, because that will be appreciated by others and you will get sympathy in return. And his whole deal there is not that people deliberately want to deceive everyone and therefore as hypocrites show sympathy and empathy. What he says is that this is a hidden motive that each of us have, and it's completely natural. And when people hold on to certain ideologies which they apparently live for and which makes them happy, then they stick to this motive of making themselves happy and asserting power and getting something good in return by abiding by certain behaviors and certain values which are part of this ideology that they follow. So, it's all just motivated by a will to make yourself better, make yourself feel better, get something good in return, be powerful. That's what he basically says.
Did that apply to Nietzsche himself when he was showing pity to that horse that was being beaten by its owner in the street?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree. Everything at the end of the day is selfish. Even acts of sympathy is you do it because you feel good. But there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's good that we feel good about showing sympathy, right? Susanna, you had your hand up.
Well, I mean, that fits really well into what I learned in social psychology classes. So it's been a few years, so I'm probably going to get this wrong. But in advanced research topics, we were learning about social and moral development. And what AP was saying fits very well into like what we now understand through a lot of rigorous study about in-group and out-group relations. And I could be getting this wrong, but I think Jonathan Haidt did some research about how college students act in this, because kind of like quote unquote woke culture, like college campus culture obviously happens in the university setting. And he talks about how sometimes these, young adult actions to cut someone down for being problematic in some way is more about, it's about signaling that the right thing to do. And it's also a way to try to actually boost your own power and standing within the group by cutting someone else down, by like crapping on them, basically.
Yeah.
So it's totally true. There's so many different ways in which our motives are purely to signal our standing and power within our in-group. And a lot of ways that comes in the form of language and using very specific language. So like a very easy example is in Islam, like being really good at Arabic and being able to use all these Islamic Arabic terms to like demonstrate like I'm in the know. I know this very niche, esoteric way to talk about these things instead of just like in my own language. I mean, there's examples of this in literally any community.
Yeah. I have to be very honest. I think throughout my life and for many years, and I can't believe I'm kind of openly admitting this now, but for much of my life, I feel like I have kind of seen it as a big virtue to know something and to know everything that I can know and to acquire as much knowledge as possible. And throughout my life, I have always had this thing that I never want to appear, that I never want to not know something, because I feel like that will make me feel bad. It will make me feel weak. It will make me, within my own moral framework that I have built in my own head, it will make me feel wrongful, and weak, and bad. And so I want to.
You and I should talk sometime.
I feel like to myself, I have this big anxiety to get in as much information as possible, even when it's completely useless information, because I want to make myself, I want to feel more knowledgeable and want others to see that I am more knowledgeable, because that's
So you're
in my
authoritative.
own world that makes me feel better. But and then in the end, I realized it's just like the motive is so stupid, actually.
Well, actually, it's not stupid, because it's like everybody has that to some extent. You know what I mean? Like, this is something that everybody feels threatened when they are portrayed as like not knowing, right?
Yeah.
But I think it takes a very high level of maturity to know that and to say that. You know what I mean? Like, and also it takes a huge level of self-awareness, because there's two things here that is seen as like maybe you feel less or inferior. One is the lack of knowledge, but the harder one to see and notice is the fact that you are like at the knowledge of you feeling inferior because of lack of knowledge. Okay, so there's two taboos here, right? And you basically addressing both of them. Like I really think like it takes a very high level of both self-awareness and maturity to first see that, and then to second admit that. You know what I mean? Because I could tell you that most people feel that, but most people don't notice that they feel that, and even if they do, they would never admit it. Right? So
maybe the problem is, Armin, maybe I'm only sitting here and openly talking about this and admitting this because I want people to see that I am self-aware, that I am honest, and that I am humble, because I see that is beneficial and good, you know.
Well, that is true, but I honestly, like, that is happening with every time we're talking, right?
Yeah.
Like every time, like this is not something that to look at as like a negative. Every single person somebody opens their mouth to say something is because they want the other person to see value in something in what they're saying, and to see that person as a source of value and a source of like, this is the way you see, like, we can't see value in ourselves in a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
We use society as a mirror. Like, society is like, am I worth something? Hey, society, look at what I have to offer. Tell me if I have value. Like, there is no other mirror to look at. There's like, you can't.
We define ourselves in relation to others.
Yeah.
Right.
We're social beings. That's how we work.
Yeah. It's funny because people say, like, you're just making this video because you want just to get views and people to see it. Like, as opposed to what? Like, every single person that has written a book, any person that had like a radio show, any person that went to a party to talk to people, any person, like, why do you think like we just want to say things to put in a vacuum? I hope nobody sees it. Like, what are you talking about? Like, like any singer, any street performer, anybody that has a class in a university, they want the class to be full and not empty. Like, I don't understand. Like, as opposed to what? Like, no, we want to say things and we're hoping that nobody pays attention. Like, what is like, it's so weird. That, but I think like we shouldn't, like, if we once we notice what our motivations are, I think we should not demonize it as something, you know, wrong. Like, we want to be accepted in society, as opposed, like, just like we want to eat, just like we want oxygen, just like we want to, we have lust, we have thirst. This is part of being human.
Yeah.
What else do you expect? Yeah.
It's your human nature. It's human, all too human.
Yeah. Sorry for being human, I guess. Yeah. But here I have a question for you mentioned Nietzsche. Like, do you have any opinions on Nietzsche's opinions on Christianity?
Yes. Wait, let me take this off. I was before the show started. I put on this cross, and we kind of agreed that I should just have this on, and we shouldn't make any reference to it at all.
I know. I'm like,
but I just couldn't resist. I was like, okay, this is kind of a so I just put this on as a gag because I have it here with me in my room all the time because I love it so much, and I put it on when I pray. Just kidding. I got it for a completely different purpose. But yeah, Nietzsche, Christianity depends. It's just very deep. I think Nietzsche's opinions on Christianity are often very much distorted and taken out of context, misunderstood, misrepresented. But the thing is, he has some contradictory opinions, some differing, some mixed opinions about Christianity. For example, he thinks that Christianity in essence has good qualities. On the other hand, he thinks that Christians are, he openly says Christians are hypocrites. Christians are powerful weaklings, use their weakness to assert power over society, which is why he calls them hypocrites. He says that they are he admires Jesus in a way and says that he is the only Christian, which kind of doesn't make sense because Christianity refers to Christ as him. He says Jesus is the only Christian, the only true Christian, or something like that. And what he means is that Jesus is the guy who talks about such profound truths in life and in the world that he delivers those profound truths with some high level symbolism and metaphor, which by his implications, by his descriptions, the Christians were not smart enough to understand, and therefore corrupted and misunderstood. That's why he says Christians are not in agreement with what Jesus actually preached and actually said. His thoughts about the world and about life were so profound. But on the other hand, he also has this issue that Jesus was merely somebody who established a morality within a slave culture and established a slave morality where he preached because they were lesser people. The Jewish people were lesser people, oppressed people who didn't have enough power to stand up to the powerful, great, honorable Romans. So they vilified everything that the Romans stand for, like power, wealth, lust, this and that, vilified all those things and said, hey, we don't have those things, but you know what? We don't need those things. Those things are bad.
Are evil.
Those are evil. Our qualities, being weak, being meek, being poor, being gentle, being this and that, that is actually good. We are the good guys, not them. So the Jews and the Christians turned the whole thing around, turned good into bad and bad into good, and adopted that as their own moral code and established a slave morality. That's what he says. And one thing that he says, which is why he calls them hypocrites, Christians, he says that what they did in the end is they turned this weakness into their own morality, into their focus and their own strength, and then they started to assert their power with their weakness over others. So they did the same thing that everyone does, to assert power and to strive for power while appearing weak, because that's what they considered good in their contradictory times. That's what he very much says. I mean, that's very much a very nice analysis.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the feeling I got was that he kind of saw Christianity as a great source of evil, but it admired Christianity as how good it was at defeating the Roman Empire. He kind of saw it as an enemy, but respected it and confused about how well it worked. That's how I felt it was like, because he saw Christianity as an ideology that turned everything that is bad into a virtue. He really respected Hellenism, the Greek ideology, and the Roman Empire. He saw those as especially the Apollo side of it, not the other. Well, so he kind of saw the Roman civilization as an empire that was powerful, that was that understood the role of power, that knew how to govern. But all of these things that made the Roman Empire great, because these weak, pathetic people didn't have that, they were jealous. So because they couldn't get it, instead of trying to become powerful and get it, they said those things that you have are bad and evil, and being weak and pathetic, and like the anything that makes you weak, they turn it into a virtue. Anything that makes you lose and not gain, not become powerful, they twisted it. He sees Christianity as this very twisted, weird ideology that all the things that makes a society and humans weak, they turn those into virtues. And here's what this is why he thinks Christianity is bad and evil. But here's what he doesn't understand. The weird thing is that it worked, right? So he's like, these pathetic, weak people who were nothing managed to convince an empire like that that their weird take of the world is correct, and for no reason at all, these people that had their power, they just gave up on their ideology that is working, and they were like, okay, here's the power to the Christians. They're like, why did that work? That should not have worked. So Nietzsche, that's why Nietzsche was.
Well, there's one thing that he miscalculates. He does this thing. He puts very big emphasis on this on the concept of resentment. He specifically uses the French word ressentiment, resentment, to describe why the Jews established a moral system where they turned weak things into strength, because it wasn't just that they were oppressed. It was that they were oppressed and tried to overcome the oppressors and regain power, but they fought, were suppressed, fought, were suppressed, and that over time turned into resentment. As a result, they turned away from the goal of being strong again and started making weakness their virtue. The issue is what I think he miscalculates about why Christianity worked and why the Roman culture didn't work, is that Christianity provides inner stability. It's Roman culture, for example, has this thing. It has this in-group and out-group reaching for power and for overpowering the other, for being powerful, for showing off, and this and that, this human desire to just gain power. Whereas Christianity doesn't necessarily have that. Christianity has this. Christianity historically had this aspect that it had out of group intolerance and violence, insofar that Christianity became a force that was fighting those who are not Christians, but within the own group, violence and hate and intolerance and all of that was not considered good, was not considered virtuous. So they built an inner peace and stability, which prevented a Christian society from, infighting and falling within itself. Which is a problem that happens in many, which is a problem that made many other civilizations, like the Nordic people, or some of the Greek tribes and some of the Romans collapse because they just can't come to peace, because they always have to fight and prove themselves. Christianity stops with that, and
Islam does that too. Islam does that too, right? Like Islam, like a lot of people think like, oh, Islam is egalitarian because once you're a Muslim, everyone is equal. Well, technically, it's still a supremacist ideology, because if you're not a Muslim, you're inferior. And also, like, we have to take that into account. Like, yes, once you're a Muslim, you're supposed to be equal as long as you're not a slave and as long as you're not a woman, right? But true, technically, all Muslim men are supposed to be all free Muslim men are supposed to be equal, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think that makes it egalitarian, because that's just like one super tribe that is supposed to be superior. And I think Islam got that from Christianity.
Yeah, very much. But with Islam, the issue is. Go ahead, Sue.
That's the strength of having an evangelical nature to the faith. Like, Judaism is exclusive; it is supposed to be for a specific ethnic group, and you can't, under ordinary circumstances, or there's some loopholes, but you can't really convert to it in the same way that it is much easier to convert and join the tribe or the superordinate identity of Islam or Christianity, and which is why it's flourished so easily across the globe, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it's a thing like with Islam. In order to to become part of the stable, strong society, all you have to do is just to adopt the ideology and become part of it, and then you're good. You're free from danger. With the Jews, it's like you can't just change your opinion and become part of it. Which is why they are hyper vigilant all the time, on edge, have to watch out. They are a small group walking and watching out so that the others don't hurt them. Whereas with Islam, Islam just basically tries to become a major force which absorbs everything around it, and builds it as a solid wall, as a solid society, which didn't work, but that is at least the goal. Yeah.
And also Christianity got that from money, their money religion, which is, I think in English,
Manichaeism.
Manichaeism,
yeah,
right, which came from Iran, right? So this whole idea of universality, Christianity didn't came up with it itself. It got it from Manichaeism, I think. I mean, originally it wasn't
debatable.
Actually, I don't know, no, because it was before that when Paul decided that Romans could be Christians. But that level of universality, I think, was copied a little bit from Manichaeism, because it was. I don't know if Saint Augustine got a lot of things from Manichaeism. I don't know if
the sex negativity is definitely Manichaeism.
Yeah.
Well, it was part of the sex. It was part of the earliest Christian scripture that they should now go out into the world and make disciples and invite people. This whole evangelizing is part of the very first Christian texts which we have today.
Actually, I take that back, because like the whole idea of the Christianity splitting into the two branches of being a Jewish cult or being a universal religion, because like basically going the Paul route, or what was Jesus's brother's name? That guy, Jesus's brother. That guy wanted to keep it a Jewish cult. He didn't like Romans becoming
John the
Christian.
Baptist.
No, his brother, Jesus' brother, not the Baptist. Okay, but that guy didn't wanted Christianity to remain Jewish, but it was this other sect that became more popular, where Romans could actually become Christian. So that was way before Manichaeism. So it predates that. So I was wrong. I think I was wrong.
The thing with Manichaeism was Manichaeism had some rivalry with Christianity going on at some point, because although Manichaeism is totally irrelevant today, it was actually when Christianity was on the rise as a missionary religion, spreading through missionary work within the Roman Empire. Manichaeism was actually almost, I think, equally popular, and was competing with Christianity in becoming a global religion. It was on the way of becoming a global religion. It was just not very well founded. It wasn't very solid.
The concept of original sin and sex negativity and the evilness of the flesh and the body and everything, that in Christianity, that comes from Manichaeism, right? And then Islam also got that from Christianity, which is like, when the Jewish people, they had the story of Adam and Eve and the apple and everything, but that they didn't like that doesn't mean that they had the concept of original sin. It was the Christians who turned that story into the concept of original sin, and they got that from Manichaeism. So, which is very interesting.
Well, I see that there's a lot of theorizing about how Christianity had some influence from, or maybe great influence from, Zoroastrianism, because of the whole thing, because of the time under Zoroastrian influence, Christianity being in a time and an environment where it had a lot of intercultural, born into an environment where it had a lot of intercultural interactions. So the whole concept of Satan being this other guy, then this dualism between God and Satan, for example, is by many scholars thought to be a result of Zoroastrian influence.
Actually, before the Jewish religion got influenced by, so Christianity was influenced a lot by Manichaeism, which is a Persian religion. But before that, Judaism was influenced by Zoroastrianism, which is another Persian religion. So this whole idea of turning the devil into good versus evil, turning like the battle between good and evil in heaven, that was a direct copy from Zoroastrianism, which is because when the Jews were exiled into Babylon, and then when the Persian Empire came over and took Babylon, and then the Jews went back to, even though many of them stayed, many of them went back to Jerusalem. However, Jerusalem at that point was under the Persian Empire for a couple hundred years, and they were heavily impacted by Zoroastrianism, including the concept of heaven and hell. They first, angels, before this, there was like, God had these like people in his court and helpers, but they weren't necessarily angels. This whole idea of angels and demons was copied from Zoroastrianism. Angels were finally started to be named, became major characters in Jewish stories. All of this was copied from Zoroastrianism.
I would not say that it was definitely copied from Zoroastrianism. I would not even say that the Satan thing was copied from Zoroastrianism. I would just say that there are some scholarly opinions that strongly suggest that is the case, or that
nothing is certain. This is just the most likely thing, just because like if you see the change perfectly matching the time when they were under Persian influence, so it's just the most likely explanation. Nothing is certain. And also Satan was there before all of this in Jewish scripture.
He just didn't have the same role. He didn't have the same
his role changed. He used to be just like part of the council of God. Like he wasn't like this, it wasn't this binary nature of like good versus evil. So it wasn't like Satan was introduced to Judaism because of Zoroastrianism. Satan's role changed, and Satan used to be a title. It wasn't his name. Eventually his role kept on changing because of Zoroastrian influence. And again, you're right, like none of this is for sure. Everything is just based on probabilities. This is the best explanation that we have right now. You're right. We have to mention.
Zoroastrianism has this whole thing that it introduced to, maybe it didn't introduce, it was a major religion, a major culture, which carried this whole idea of dualism and Gnosticism in the world, and that very much brought forth the idea of Manichaeism, which is today known as which is even, I think, interchangeably used. People use the word Manichaean to say that something is very dualistic. For example, that there is this divide between light and darkness, or good and evil, and that's how, with that influence, certain Christian movements and certain Christian ideas, Gnostic Christian ideas, came into existence, which were regarded as huge heresies by the early Christians. But they, for example, have this entire idea that they do accept the message of Jesus, and they do accept the early Gospels. They add certain other Gospels which are not accepted as authoritative and as true by the general Christian consensus, but by which they argue that the whole idea of Jesus coming and saving you through belief and taking you to heaven and this and that is not really true. But what is really true is that there is actually this divide between the good and the evil. God is not almighty. He is just one of two sides. The darkness below is evil. It is dirty and filthy. You are supposed to dissociate yourself from that and know God in order to know the light, in order to go to the light, which is why you should devote yourself to that. So it's a whole different thing, so a whole different way to look at belief and the nature of reality and the world. I don't know, how do we...
It's actually very interesting. I think it's very fascinating. Like, I think like we could do this with Islam as well, because if the problem is with Islam, we don't have much information about its early history. But if you like study the early history of like Judaism and early history of Christianity, you could see that it was never as clear cut as Christians and Jews make it seem. Like this was like a revelation from God, and it was this, and this was the perfect Christianity. You could see like it took them a couple of 100 years to even decide what's Christianity. Like they were like, if you look at like early history of Christianity, the competing ideas in Christianity were so fundamentally against each other. Like we have like sects in Christianity that like Jesus was like this alien God that was fighting against Yahweh, because Yahweh was this like evil God and Jesus was the good God. Like we have so many different and he was trying to save us from this debt that we owe to Yahweh by sacrificing himself. And he was like, like there were sects of Christianity that were like, there's no way Jesus is Yahweh, because Yahweh is like this monstrous evil thing and Jesus is good. Like, but we have so many different ideas at the beginning of Christianity that seems like nothing like we as we recognize as Christianity today. And eventually they keep fighting each other out, and some of them, and if you were actually at that time, and if you were a betting man on which one is going to win, you probably would have bet wrong. Like it didn't seem like the one that we consider as Christianity today, it didn't seem like that would be surviving. Like eventually, like one of them survived. But anybody who studied, yeah, go on.
Sorry. There's this group which still is almost extinct today, but they still exist in small numbers, are the Mandaeans. And some think that they correspond with these people who are mentioned in the Quran, actually, as the Sabians. You know, the Quran mentions these people called the Sabians, and some people think that this corresponds with this group called the Mandaeans, because when the Islamic Caliphate expanded, these people, the Mandaeans, came and said, "Hey, we have a holy book, we have a scripture. We are one of the people of the scripture which your book mentions." So that's apparently what they said to the caliphate, which is why the caliphate left them alive as a group that can live as a minority. And what they have is they apparently have this thing. They follow John the Baptist as a true guide and a prophet and somebody who delivers the truth from the one true being, the light. They have this dualistic Gnostic view of the world. And what they actually have, if you look into their scripture, I don't want to misrepresent them, but basically they say that the good being is the one God above, whose representative is John the Baptist, and the evil being below, who is equally mighty, his name is Yahweh, and he sent a spirit, an evil spirit, into the world called Jesus, who came here to corrupt the world and to spread evil and this and that. And this is in brief, vaguely what they believe in. They actually consider Christianity to be sent from the evil side, and they are supposed to stay away from it and supposed to go to the light. And it's very strange what kind of things emerged in that time.
See, the early history of Islam is also like, I think if more people just study history, it would be hard for them to be religious. Like if you like study the early history of Islam, it becomes so apparent, so obvious very fast that this was not like a divine revelation set in stone from the beginning. Like it took people a very long time to even figure out what this religion is. Like they were like, nobody was sure about what they believe in. Like this was like a political process. This was like, as Nietzsche would love to argue, is like this was like people fighting for power. And what eventually became canonized as Islam was basically different factions fighting for their authority. And what becomes, canon Islam or not was more to do with who's influence, who wins in increasing their influence in society and wins the power play, more than what's best guide for humanity and what serves humanity the best. Or obviously, it's not a revelation from God if that's how it works, right? Like, what do you think? Do you think history is the best way to make people doubt their religion? Basically?
Yeah, I mean, the study of human culture and of religions really reveals a lot of stuff about how and why certain religions developed. I mean, Islam has a lot of gaps and a lot of holes in its whole foundation, in its entire narrative, which is why within the first centuries, there were factions within Islam. They couldn't agree on who is telling the truth about Islamic theology. They couldn't agree whether people now have free will or don't have free will, or whether people are predetermined or not predetermined. And this is an issue that Muslim scholars nowadays act like this was a matter of the past and they were two heresies and they were both wrong and the middle path is right. But today they are still in disagreement about this. They have still not solved this problem because it's a problem that cannot be solved, because the scripture is inherently contradictory about this whole stuff. And then there's where is Allah? What is Allah's nature? Where did he come? Where was he before the creation? Where is he now? This is a matter that the Salafis and the Ash'aris and all the others heavily disagree on, and they even resort to calling each other kafir over this matter because they can't agree whether Allah is this being who is physical and who is outside or above his creation, or whether he's everywhere. It's like these are things that,
he's above a throne. Obviously, he's obviously above a throne with a glorious shin. It's a glorious shin.
Yeah, like does he have a hand? Like the mention of his hand in the Quran, is it a literal hand or is it a metaphoric hand? A lot of people don't know. A lot of Muslims don't know. That's a huge debate, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of like the Salafi Muslims, they say like there's no metaphor in the Quran. So when you hear the right hand of God, Allah, that's a literal hand. And that's by the way, I don't know. Based on this, we depicted Allah. You know that, AP, right?
You did.
Yeah, we depicted Allah.
Oh, it's the best depiction of Allah ever.
Oh boy!
This is the first time because we wanted to show people that this is a discussion. This is a debate. And wait, let me show you. No, it's not. You guys talk while I find it.
You know what? I was actually raised in a Sufi influenced Sunni Muslim culture, and my parents very much followed the whole Sufi understanding of the nature of Allah and where Allah is and all that. So as a child, I actually learned that I'm not supposed to say that some people in Muslim culture say, Allah is up there, or Allah is above us, or Allah is whatever this is. And my parents and my culture basically taught me that I am not supposed to say this because this is borderline blasphemy. This is almost this is blasphemy because Allah is not above, Allah is everywhere, everywhere around us. That's what I was supposed to believe in, for example.
This is our depiction of Allah based on Quranic.
He's like a glorious mermaid.
No, because he's supposed to have only one shin. Right? The Quran, like this is if the Quran is no metaphor at all. So apparently he has how many right hands?
2.
He has supposed 2 right hands. He only has one shin. He's above his throne in the sky, literally, no metaphor. And if you accept the Quran with no metaphors, this would be the most accurate depiction of Allah.
And he still is shredded. He's got abs, okay? He's glorious. I don't know why you're laughing.
And he has an Atheist Republic tattoo, as obviously, on his right arm. Look at
that. Wait, why does Allah have muscles? What do they serve? What's their purpose?
Because he's supposed to be glorious, obviously.
Okay, what purpose do muscles serve exactly in Allah?
Looking good. Okay.
Whatever.
Oh God, guys! If you're going to see more of our Blasphemous Art, go to blasphemousart.com. We have Blasphemous Art there for all of you. Yeah, so go check them out. We have you should, if you think that's like, what's the purpose of that? We have for our patrons. We have a nude version of that, and there's something else very huge and glorious about Allah.
I don't want to see it. I'm not interested.
You don't want to see it?
I don't want to see it.
I'm like, you started all this. You started all this Blasphemous Art stuff. Like it was because of you. You and Apostate, you and Abdullah Samir started like the whole Blasphemous Art project.
What did you? What did I do?
Well, it was. Wait, how did it start? Like, it
was of Muhammad Hijab originally.
Yeah, it was because of your, thing with Muhammad Hijab that we started. Oh yeah, because you started desecrating the Quran. Okay, we joined you, and a lot of Hindutva liked it and they followed us. And then in response to that, Abdullah Samir started posting pictures of Cali. And then we joined Abdullah Samir, and the whole thing led to the Blasphemous Art project. So it was because of you and Abdullah Samir that
that's not my fault. There is a disconnection in the Islam. There's
your fault. We're thanking you. It's a celebration.
It's your fault.
I bear no response. I have washed my hands with. I'm washing my hands with Coke. All that. So I have nothing to do with that.
Wait, I have a question for AP though.
Go ahead.
But go ahead.
So I'm very curious what you think. So you've been doing, your channel for what, like 3 years now, maybe more?
3 years.
And what do you think is like the next step for the ex-Muslim movement? Like, what do you think is lacking? Do you think
I don't care about the
taken
ex-Muslim
further?
movement. I don't care about the ex-Muslim movement. I think the ex-Muslim movement can suck it. No, just kidding. I don't know. It's like I'm not really doing something. I don't know. I don't really have that on my mind. I'm not really doing something with the with a specific collective purpose on my mind. It's never how I went. I've always been a lone wolf, I guess, in this whole thing. With my work of talking about this stuff online, I've been just like that as well. I do have certain projects on my mind that involve others, and I'm kind of looking for some people that I want to work with for that. I have this thought, I have had it forever, of creating a separate channel that has nothing to do with me personally, where somebody else will present topics, and it will be short videos, and it will have a general name. It will be a separate organization, which can also have its separate logo, separate entity. It can appear on billboards and this and that. I've always had something like that on my mind. It's not a community platform, but rather something that is purely informative about Islam and leaving Islam and all that. I've had that on my mind forever. I don't know when I will implement that and do that. So that is the only thing I think that is kind of connected to the whole ex-Muslim issue when it comes to my plans. Other than that, I'm always here to look for other ex-Muslims who want to come out and speak publicly about Islam and speak publicly about their freedoms. I'm always happy to host them and to, support them, to boost them. I think it has been very much normalized that people leave Islam. You see them everywhere now. You see ex-Muslims everywhere on social media. They are everywhere. It has become a normal thing. It is increasingly becoming more and more acceptable. It will spread even further. That is great. And for that, we don't even need to necessarily do more than just openly be out here and speak our minds and share our freedoms.
I really admire when you bring like ex-Muslims that are like don't even have a channel, don't even have a platform, but share their story. That is like something I really admire about your channel. That's like, I think, like really sweet and very helpful, I think, in my opinion.
I'm very lousy with honestly, I think I'm very terrible communicating with people and making plans, which is why you are aware of that. You're aware of that. Yeah, I know. I try to plan something with. Yeah, I try to plan.
I wasn't sure if you're coming
Armin
today, but I was so pleasantly surprised. Like, oh my god, he actually showed up. That's amazing. We're so honored.
Everybody, seriously, I have for a year or two, I have been planning on doing something with Armin, and I am still supposed to actually get to that and plan that. And Armin, you are no exception to this. There are so many ex-Muslims and so many others who have contacted me, or whom I have contacted initially and said, hey, let's do this and this and that. And it all got kind of dropped somewhere because of me, because I'm very terrible at planning and going through with things. So
well, I wish I was better. Honestly, if I had children and all the things that you're dealing with, I would probably be 10 times worse than you. So no.
Yeah, are you still going to school?
Me? Yes, I am.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way I would have been, if like all the things you're doing. There's no way I wouldn't be worse than you if I had to deal with all of that. So
to be very honest, I think I want to take a lot of time for myself to keep myself sane, and I spend a lot of time not doing anything productive and just taking time to myself, because I think otherwise, I don't know, I feel like I would lose my mind with everything that I'm doing.
Honestly, no, I don't think you should see it as that. I think sometimes doing nothing is productive, because it's called recovery time.
Yeah.
Recovery time is productive, because you would not be productive if you don't have some recovery time. So don't see it as not productive. It is actually, doing nothing is productive sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not blaming myself. I'm fine with it. I have accepted myself with it.
Wait, I wanted to show you something we talked about because you were shocked when I told you. I told you there are. We were talking about Shia Islam, and I asked you if you've seen people who consider themselves to be the dogs of Ali. And you were like,
"Are you ready for more bidah? Are you ready for more innovation?"
Please.
Oh my God! Yes.
Wait, can you explain for us what the hell we're talking about? I mean,
all right, there are some people who.
This is subs.
Oh yeah, we were talking about we were trying to come up with a guide of people we know there are some Muslims who don't really know if they should be Shia or if they should be Sunni, right? So then we started explaining to people okay, if you're a Muslim and you don't know which one is better for you, Shia or Sunni, then see what your role is in a BDSM relationship. Just appeal to that. If in a BDSM relationship, if you are a dom, then become Sunni, and if you're a sub, then become Shia. Okay, and then that led me to ask AP if he knows about the people who are proud of being the dogs of Ali. And I was like, they literally bark and they put leashes on themselves and they proudly claim to be the dogs of Ali. And I just wanted to show you a sample of that. Okay.
Wait, we don't have audio.
I don't hear anything.
You don't have. Okay, here. Okay, I don't know if this song is copyrighted. It's probably not. So this is a leash as a dog.
Oh my
God! Look how many of them are. Look at how many of them. I swear to you, this is a kink. I swear this is a kink. This cannot not be a kink.
Be.
It's a kink, isn't it?
I've recognized this behavior from only one place, and it's called the Folsom Street Fair.
What the hell is this? What is this?
Wow. Guys, I'm so proud because Apostate Prophet thought he's seen everything in Islam. I managed to shock him. I still managed to shock him.
I had no idea that's... I had no idea that something like this exists. What the hell is this? Oh god! Wait! Oh, that hurt.
This is why.
What the hell is this?
You need to do some videos on Shia and Islam.
Yes, AP, please. You've been doing so many on Sunni Islam.
What the hell is it? Is this something weird? There's even an eternal joke, or is this completely normal? What is this?
This is okay. So Shia Islam keeps coming up with new ways to act of self-humiliation and submission, full submission. And Islam means submission to Allah, but Shias, they don't submit to Allah. They submit to Ali and Hussein and all that, full-on submission. Everything you think of, anything that you could think of submission in a BDSM relationship, there's probably a Shia somewhere that has done that for Ali. Okay, I bet. I bet you there's somebody that is getting their butt cheeks red by slapping them for Ali somewhere. I don't know.
What the hell, man? I wonder if Ali himself
edging for Ali. I'm being edged for Ali. Somebody needs to do that. Edging torture for Ali.
I wonder if Ali himself saw these people behave like dogs and bark. I wonder if he would be like, "Wow, great job, guys! I really like what you're doing, my dogs."
Oh my
yo, dog.
There's mud walk. I don't know if you've seen that. People crawling in mud for they put mud and they just crawl in the mud for Ali or something to just humiliate themselves in the most disgusting way possible. They put glass on the ground and they crawl on the glass for Ali or Hussein or whatever.
Is it supposed to be an ego death kind of thing, like the Aghoris do?
Yes, very much like the Aghoris. you know, like the most yeah, but it's also a little bit like, you know, the Catholic, you know, the Catholics do that as well. Like they go on the steps and crawl all the way to the, you know, as a pilgrimage. Like they use only, the crawling on the ground to make it the most difficult to get there as a sign to humble yourself, not standing up once. So there's that. Like it's an act of self-humiliation to show how much dedication that you have to. So it's weird. It's weird.
Well, Catholics are subs too, so it makes sense.
Catholics are subs too. Yeah.
Yep. Well, I you know, I was in the Sufi culture, and I was part of it at some point. And Sufism is very big on you know, acknowledging that you are nothing, being extremely humble, punishing yourself, you know, and just trying to exterminate, trying to get rid of trying to annihilate your ego, and realizing that there is only Allah, and Allah is the only thing that matters. And it feels very profound, and feels very, very amazing and lovely when you are in that, and you do some very stupid things, and you really consider yourself as a worthless little piece of crap, basically. So I get that, but getting on the
So you're telling me that Sufis are subs too?
Yes, very much, very much. But barking like a dog, I mean, what the hell?
You know that's a kink though, but right? You know there are certain couples.
I know, but
yeah.
I mean, God, I don't know what to say.
Pet play for Ali.
So ridiculous. Oh,
I'm trying to find some.
To be very honest, with all my experience and my knowledge about Islam, I would have never thought that there are people within the religion who make it a virtue to make dogs of themselves. It's so weird.
Nietzsche would approve. Nietzsche would like it. I'm trying to find something else. I can't find it right now. There's this new things that if somebody could give me the terms to search for to get this, but now they're like westernizing the whole Ashura thing with techno, and people are like beating their chest but with like techno song and like and there's like red light, and that's actually
No, okay, because you were sending me photos or videos of recent Husainiya from the recent Ashura. And my first thought was like, this is really gay. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I was like, this just seems really gay.
You get to say that because you're gay. So you get like, just before we get canceled, let's do that.
I mean, this is as someone who, you know, appreciates the culture living in San Francisco. I know it when I see it, you know, and I was like, it's just shirtless men sweating under flashing lights. Exclusively men. I'm like, okay.
AP, I'm not going to say that much of this because we get like, for some reason, YouTube might think that we're saying something that we're not. Okay. But you know, the cove, you know what I'm talking about, right?
The what?
The cove, the thing that is spreading, the thing that is spreading everywhere right now.
Yeah.
We got punished for mentioning that. We got a strike for just mentioning that, by the way.
Really? Right? What the hell, man?
Yeah, it's weird. But
I thought you were saying something Arabic about Islam.
No. The disease that is spreading right now everywhere. These people, they go and they do the Ashura thing for Hussein, right? The ceremonies that they do for Hussein. Because I don't know if people know, it was like recently, is the month of Muharram is for when the Shias get together and they do their crazy things. Stuff. Yeah. Their crazy things. Yeah. But it wasn't like that they weren't worried about, they weren't denying that they might be spreading the disease everywhere. Okay. They were proud of them possibly doing that. Okay. Because they're like, we are there to die for Hussein. And if there's a risk, if like doing all these ceremonies increases the risk of us dying, that makes it better because we're taking a risk for Hussein. So it's not like the Christians who are like, maybe in the US, who are like denying that this is like, they're like, oh no, I'm not going to be sick because Jesus is protecting me. No, these people are like, bring on the death because that will make an actual, we will be martyrs for Hussein.
You know, so I'm really tempted to say something right now, but I don't want to.
I know, don't say it.
Wait, wasn't there something in Iran where people at the beginning of the pandy, people were saying that like those who died in a certain way were actually like Shahid?
Yeah, that's what this is. They will a lot of people will consider, if you go to a Muharram procession or something and you die from a disease because you were there, they were like, oh, you're a martyr, you died for Hussein. So this is actually,
oh my God,
congratulations.
This will be this is a it's kind of a popular thing within Sunni Islam too, that even when you go to the Hajj, to the pilgrimage, you could be regarded as a martyr just because you died there or under unrelated circumstances. And so
I've recently seen like a speech by one of these Shia mullahs. Okay, I saw a video of them. AP, you're gonna love this. Okay,
this is a very Shia phobic stream. I'm like,
they were saying like,
how can I be Shia phobic when my heart bleeds for Hussein?
If you cry for Hussein, like for the death of Hussein, no, not cry for Hussein. If the guy was like, you don't need to, even if you don't cry, okay, even if your eyes just get a little bit teary, actually no, that's even more than enough. Even if you just feel a little bit like crying, just a little bit, say I'm almost feeling like crying, but you don't actually cry, all your sins are wiped out.
Great,
right?
Fantastic.
So it's like if you have one tear, that's like astronomically higher. And imagine the people who are actually like crying, like really sad. Then imagine how much of their sins are wiped, because that's like way more than necessary. You just have to be a little bit feeling just a little bit like crying, and all your sins are wiped. That's how important.
Well, then I'm good, because I've actually cried when watching the Majalis before.
I find it so funny that religious language is often so hyperbolic, so exaggerated.
Yeah.
And Islamic language, I think, is especially like takes it so far that Muhammad himself said very absurd things. If you listen to Muhammad, then you will go to hell and also go to heaven 1,000 times for very simple things. It's just very strange.
Okay, I want to show you one more thing. I know you like these. Okay, so as a Shia, you're supposed to. This is as a Shia.
I know that. I think I saw that before.
Oh, you've seen this? You're supposed to cry, right? Yeah. Crying. You know how we were talking about in Christianity, weakness being a virtue? Shia Islam has taken that to the max. Okay, like crying is one of the best virtues in Shia Islam, like being sad and crying, and right. So if you don't cry, there's something wrong with you. If you don't cry if you hear the story of Hussein and you don't cry, there's something broken about you. You're like pure evil. Okay, so you have the more you cry, the better of a person you are. Okay, so here's like camera showing people crying for Hussein. Yeah, video. Look at this guy. Oh, you're on camera. This is when he realizes he's on camera. Like, oh shit, there's camera. Look at it. Uh-oh.
That's so ridiculous, man. So ridiculous.
Oh my gosh. Wait, Murtad Skeptic is saying, you guys should watch Shia's watch Karbala in VR. Have you seen this?
No.
Oh my god, no.
You haven't seen this? This is happening during the beginning of the pandy, like, because people couldn't actually go to Karbala. So they would put on VR goggles and they were just in this room together, like sobbing while going to Karbala, like in virtual reality. It's such a funny video.
But Shia is deluded nonsense that I personally find crazy and perverted and corrupt. So I don't really have very much interest in Shia. I am more of a fan of, the real deal. So I've personally not seen these things, but it's nice to learn here more about the whole Shia side of Islam.
You should do videos on Shia Islam. You should. Please.
It's so much fun. That's why I study it so much. It's fascinating.
It's just so blasphemous. It's just so, I don't know. It hurts me to see this perversion of Islam through the hands of the Shia. Yeah.
True nature, secret Muslim.
This is too much shirk for me.
This is Sharia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's funny.
Will you do videos on Shia Islam? Would you consider it?
I have, I don't know, people asked me for a long time. The one thing that people asked for very often was, what is the whole Sunni-Shia divide? Will you ever make a video about that? And I thought, yeah, maybe I should make a video about that. It's an important thing.
Yeah.
It's very important. I still haven't done that. Maybe I'll do that sometime. I am working on a video that I have been postponing forever, which is about the Mahdi. And in that, I definitely want to mention that the Shia side of Islam is very crazy about this topic. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's about it so far.
Yeah. I did want to ask you about, I don't know if I noticed you made a video. I can't find it anymore. You made a video about the utility of believing in God or something, because I have some, evolutionary, from a meme evolutionary perspective, I could make arguments in favor of that, not from a utility from an individual perspective, but from a survival of the meme perspective. But do you have some new thoughts on that? Because I think I saw you making a video on.
I published a video which was titled "Why I Think That the Belief in God is Justifiable or Reasonable," and I deleted that video just like half an hour later because I didn't like it, to be very honest. I sat down and listened to it, and I thought, I don't really like how I delivered that, so I just deleted it. But yeah, I made such a video in which I basically talked about why I don't really concern myself with certain things like cosmological arguments and all that, which are supposed to prove or disprove God, and why I think that the whole idea, it was actually more about why I find it understandable that people might believe in an originator or a creator or something out there without necessarily giving that a name. So that was actually the focus of that whole video, but it kind of went into a wrong direction and was maybe a little bit misunderstood. So that's why I deleted it very much.
I think understandable is a word that I'm okay with, more than reasonable, right? Like reasonable makes it seem like there's a reason for it, but understandable, like if you study the nature of the human mind, the fact that it sees pattern where pattern doesn't exist. It sees agency where agency doesn't exist, right? It sees causation where causation doesn't exist. It makes it needs significance and a source of care and parent figure. Like all of these desires that we have makes it so understandable why, no matter how many times you rewind and play this, there would be a God created by mankind. It makes so much sense. It's completely understandable why the human mind would create a God, right? The way that the human mind operates, right? So I think like the word I would use is understandable. But
what I actually initially used was justifiable. Why believing in God is justifiable, because my logic was that I have a lot of reason to reject the whole idea of the one God, because to me the entire idea of the one God comes from specific teachings, from specific philosophies, specific theories, which I reject as false, because I reject the ideas and the arguments of those ideologies as false. And God to me is merely just an idea that was introduced by those ideas, by those religions. Outside of that, people may speculate and may conclude that maybe there is something out there, maybe there is some link out there that before the Big Bang, or before the emergence of this universe, before the creation of this universe, whatever you want to call it. The issue is that no matter if we conclude that there is a God or if we conclude that there is no God, eventually you will have to rely on a certain amount of inference, on speculation. There is a gap. I think there is a much bigger gap, much more inference. If you want to conclude that there is a God, it is much more likely that there is no such God. But still, in the end, I think it is just we rely on reasoning, on supporting evidence, and on a certain amount of inference, which is why I think you and I both cannot for certain say and prove that there is no God, and we can also not prove that there is a God. insofar I find it okay to leave it open and to say, hey, you are justifiable in believing that there is a God, although I don't agree with it.
Well, I mean, as justifiable in believing in Peter Pan and Santa Claus.
It's also
because you can't prove those don't exist either.
I mean, I think it is justifiable for myself to believe that everything that exists is purely material or physical. At the same time, I also think it is entirely justifiable to believe that there is a God. And these two things can't be true at the same time, maybe, but they both can be true. Both can be justifiable.
I mean, given that the things that, as you describe it, could be justifiable with just like sitting in an armchair and thinking about things, I think I want to promote the idea of not relying on using empiricism more to come up with conclusions than rationalism, because rationalism, people don't understand how flawed our rationality is and what crazy ideas we could get to it. Like, this is why like rationalism without empiricism is just like, this is one of my problems with just pure philosophy without science there, right? Like, our brains are not reliable sources of information. You need actual evidence for believing in things. Right?
You and I, we're sitting here. We might be saying things that seem completely reasonable to you and me, to the average person in our time, to the average atheist or the average theist in our time, but that might seem completely ridiculous in just in a decade or so. I don't know. So we're just humans, just animals, just beings who just use a certain mind with limited capabilities in order to find something out, and you can't fully rely on that and say, hey, this is definitely true. You can just come to conclusions and justify.
I really like the fact that you make videos and you decide that, oh, this was not good. Like, you're you're very open to being like, yeah, I was wrong, or I should have phrased this differently. I've noticed that about you. I mean, like, you don't have like this overconfidence problem. You're so willing to change your narrative, change your opinion, and like, oh, I changed my mind on this. This is like, not that many people are like that, especially people that are this public and in front of this many people who might consider being wrong as a major sign of weakness. Like, that hasn't, I don't see that in you, which is
it just shows that I'm weak. And I'm a weak
pathetic.
The thing is, I wish it was a little bit different, because I see why you consider it nice, but I think I very often deal with perfectionism, which I think keeps me a little bit back. I put something out and I'm like, I don't really like this, and I gave up on so many projects and on so many videos that I just didn't find good enough, which is why I didn't publish them, although I really wanted to share some information that is in there. So
maybe look at some of your old videos that you don't like and then review it and tell people why you don't like them.
You know what I do when I look at my old videos? Just when I look at videos that are 2 years old, I sit there and I cringe and like,
do that with your audience, so that like, if they're like, you were like, you know what, it is cringe and this is why I changed my mind on it. Like, you could like do some review on your old videos and be like, oh, I shouldn't have said this. If I was doing it now, I would have said this. I think that would be very,
and that's easy content.
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, that's easy content. And it's very interesting.
I've seen how terrible my English was like 2 years ago, and that just makes me cringe too. I don't know.
Really?
That just makes you sound more authentic. Yeah. I just like the idea of popularizing I just think like associating certainty with strength is like what gets us into a lot of these problems. So I want to like do the Christian thing of turning weaknesses into virtue by saying like, you know what, I am strong because I admit I don't know. Like, making it cool to say I don't know. Yeah.
Actually, there are studies that show that the more certain you are, the less likely you are to change someone's mind who has an opposing opinion than you. So if you're trying to change someone's mind and you actually demonstrate a little bit of uncertainty, they're more likely to actually consider your position and shift their beliefs, or maybe decrease the level of certainty that they have in their own previously held assumption.
But humans,
so it's a huge benefit.
Humans connect by relating to each other, because the other human that you listen to is similar to you. And when you see somebody who is more open about themselves and who is ready and willing to show weakness, then you find that relatable to something within you which you are aware of all the time. If you see somebody who is completely overconfident and who is like bragging and who doesn't show any weakness, it becomes less relatable the more overconfident it becomes. So it is.
I used to think it was the opposite, but apparently studies showed that I was wrong, because I used to think like being overly confident is what you need to sell things, but apparently no. You're right. Like studies show that if you tell people like this is what I think is true, but it could be wrong, people like will consider it more than be like this is for sure. Like this is So I'm glad that actually works, right?
They're much more likely to not only reject what you're trying to convey, but actually double down on their own belief, regardless of the evidence presented to them.
Anything? Go on.
I just wanted to add. I mean, arrogance might feel good, but it's just not great. It's not actually as popular as it seems to the arrogant person.
Yeah. Unless you're joking about it. I think jokingly being arrogant.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
That's fun. Are there anything that you can share? Any ideas that you like, significant views that you had that you changed your mind on recently?
I don't change my mind on things.
This is the joke that I was talking about.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, just a month ago, I made a post that so many people took seriously, because I woke up one morning and I thought. Man, these Muslim apologists that I interacted with, they always do this thing. We have destroyed him. We have humiliated you and this and that. And I'm always like, whatever, let's just talk. I thought, what if I do the same thing today? So I woke up and made a community post on YouTube. You can probably find it on my community page if you go a month back, in which I basically said, so far I have defeated every Muslim that I have talked to. I have no idea why they are still trying. And then I basically listed 7 people and like showed how I destroyed them. And like, to me, that was very obvious. I was just being very obviously sarcastic and trolling people. Right. And I was wondering what will happen as a result of that post. And in the same day, several of them went crazy about that and reacted to me and started attacking me. And I thought, oh, that's how easy it is, man. That's fine. and people still think I was serious about that. It's like, it's very strange. Yeah.
You could actually make the most obvious joke and somebody's going to think yours. At least one person is going to think you're serious.
Yeah. But I just want to put it out here. I don't think I have destroyed every Muslim that I have talked to. It's like, I don't believe in destroying or winning or any of that stuff. It's ridiculous.
Didn't you make a post in your community tab like just a few days ago about how you destroyed Hakikaju in a debate or something? Like just today.
No. I think I even posted several days ago and said that I actually lost to Daniel Hikikachu or something like that, and that I challenged him to a proper debate now. I don't know.
Yeah. You should experiment more with that. Like when you post debates with Muslims, just say like apostate prophet destroyed by Muslim or something like that. Like put that as the title.
Yeah. I want to. Sometimes I'm tempted to do stuff like that, but then it's like so cliche, I don't know.
Armin used to do that, and it would be like racist destroyed by BLM activists. I'm like, why are you calling yourself a racist?
Yeah, it works, I guess, right?
Humiliated. Say that like that.
There's some utility to it. Yeah. Well, the people that I interact with, the Muslim apologists, often use destroyed, and I'm like, I try to make use of that sometimes. I got totally destroyed.
Okay, before we like, I don't want to take more of your time, okay? But before you go, I was wondering if I know you don't want to, so you're going to probably say you don't want anything to do with this, okay? However, do you have any suggestions for Blasphemous Art for us? Because, okay, so everyone, if you go to blasphemousart.com, you can see all our Blasphemous Art. Oh, look at this recent one. This is like lesbian hijabi art when one of them is reading the Quran. And we have another lesbian hijabi art. Okay, so this is, guys, we all have all of this on blasphemousart.com, and if you want to see the censored version, uncensored version, the links are all here. So blasphemousart.com. But do you have any suggestions? Oh, this is Muhammad and Rama. We made this one. Okay, so Hinduism and Islam at the same time. Another lesbian. Oh, this is Jewish and Muslim at the same time, right in Jerusalem. But another Hindu. This is Mother Kelly and Muhammad. This one is really good, by the way. Guys, the uncensored version of these are glorious, so go check them out. But if you ever have, right now, do you have any suggestions for a blasphemous art that we could draw?
Not really. I mean, it's not really my thing. But I don't know. Maybe you could draw Muhammad Hijab and Ali Dawah.
Oh, we will get sued for that. So we can't do real people unless they're like politicians or something like that.
Yeah.
That would be funny though.
Yeah. I'm just kidding. Nothing against you, friendly people, Ali Dawah and Muhammad Hijab. I'm very sorry for that.
You friendly people.
I don't know. I think I don't know. I don't have any suggestions.
Like these are glorious. This one is in a mosque. And look at the caption for this, right? So the caption for this, it says, most people don't know that the real reason why women have their own separate private section in mosques is that female version of Islamic prayer often involves lesbian lovemaking. This is why there's a curtain between men and women inside mosques. So that you learn something as well while you're enjoying our art. Okay. Oh, we have
informative.
We have Christian art as well.
So this is educational stuff?
It is it's very educational. You learn about religion and you enjoy some sexy art. Right?
I understand. Yeah. Does this go under education or?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could draw me sitting on the Kaaba. How about that? Just kidding. Don't do that.
Wait, do you want us to do that? We can do that.
I don't know. Maybe. Not naked. I don't know.
No, you don't have to be naked.
Yeah.
No, we could have you sitting on the Kaaba, and we can have Muhammad praying to you, like being destroyed. You destroyed Muhammad, and now he's submitting to you as the true winner, and he's naked. You're not naked. How about that?
That makes sense.
As the true prophet, he's acknowledging that you are the seal of the prophet.
Yes, he's handing over the Kaaba to you. Can we make that? We need your permission to make something that involves you.
Okay, that sounds fun. Okay, that sounds actually fun. I don't know.
Okay.
Your wife is saying, draw AP sitting on the Kaaba reading his phone like he's on the toilet.
Okay.
We will send you a clean version, high resolution version of it if you want to print it and hang it somewhere.
That sounds funny.
Okay. Let's do it. No, seriously, we will have Muhammad submitting to Apostate prophet and recognizing him as the true prophet, and we'll associate this with the rise of more ex-Muslims, more people leaving Islam.
No, just associate that with me becoming the new prophet of the new time. Okay. I don't want to take any responsibility for anybody else.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah,
it signifies that he's fully ushered into his Medina era.
Yes,
his Medina era.
Oh wait, we can't blaspheme anymore, guys. Exactly. Get your blasphemy.
That's why we gotta be careful with this art, Armin. Are we ready for this?
Yeah.
So yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds fun.
Okay, sounds fun. Good. But this is like, as secular writer saying, this video, his agreement is documented. Okay, so we got the agreement there. This is you can't sue us for depicting it. Yeah, you're not going to be naked anyway. So
I will send you a contract after this show. I will speak to my lawyer.
All right, cool. All right. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. Did you have fun? I had fun.
Yeah,
it
was nice. It was good.
Guys, this is just the reason why we're streaming this is just an excuse for us to have AP on. Like we just want to talk to AP. Like we just take
actually true.
Actually true. We just missed him. Like, hey AP, do you want to hang out? You want to do a stream? People are saying great stream. Thank you guys.
No, it's
thank you.
It's very.
If you enjoyed it, make sure to like the video, and you don't need little old us to tell you to subscribe to AP, because if you haven't subscribed, then that's your loss.
Yeah, subscribe.
Not his loss.
Every time we tell people to subscribe to AP like internally laughs of like, like I need your endorsement.
Yeah, right.
No, this was really enjoyable. This was fun. We actually went into a lot of stuff at the beginning that I never thought we would talk about. That was very nice. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah.
Some deep stuff that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Later on, we went into introducing us all to educational content, which you are working on, and that is good.
Yeah.
No, it was nice. It was nice. I'll be happy to come back again and to talk again in the future.
That's nice. Awesome. We love
Yay!
having
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Do you have anything upcoming that you want to plug? Anything you want to promote?
No, not right now. I actually have something very funny that's coming up, but I don't want to reveal too much about it.
Ooh, that's enough tease. That's enough tease.
Something very funny that is upcoming that I'm doing with somebody else who was quite popular on YouTube in the past in terms of comedy, regarding Islamic comedy. But I don't want to reveal more about that right now. But we're going.
I think Susanna figured it out. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it. Okay.
Yeah,
that will come soon. I'm working on it. We're working on it together right now. Okay.
Okay. All right, guys. Guys, go check out Apostate Prophets. Not for his sake, because he's already growing like astronomically fast. For your own sake, go subscribe to AP, especially because like something exciting is about to happen. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yes.
And go check out blasphemousart.com to see our beautiful blasphemy. It's our gorgeous art is available. There's a free version, and there's like the nude versions are not free, but we do make free versions with everybody's clothes, and so there's that. So that's also sexy, even though there's no nudity in that one. But yeah, there's nude versions available for each one of them as well. So go check it out. It's like, I don't know what the hell is this. All right, guys. Thank you for being here, and thank you for everybody in the live chat. And we'll be live again soon. Bye.
And thanks, and stay away from Islam.
Stay away from
Islam.
Stay away from Islam.